They tell you sex is natural. They tell you it's simple, instinctive, pure. But Carl Jung warned that nothing in the human psyche is ever that simple. Behind every desire lies a shadow. Behind every touch, a hidden motive. Behind every kiss, the potential for control. This is the darkest truth about sexual manipulation. It rarely looks like manipulation at all. It often feels like passion, like intimacy, like love. And that is precisely why it is so dangerous. Jung believed that sexuality is not merely a biological instinct, but a psychological battlefield. It is the place where the conscious and unconscious collide. In moments of intimacy, the mask of personality drops. The unconscious begins to speak. And when the unconscious is full of wounds, insecurities, and unresolved shadows, those energies find their expression in sex. This is why manipulation through desire is so effective. A person may never manipulate you openly. They may never threaten, argue, or demand. Instead, they manipulate by withholding intimacy, by offering it selectively, or by turning passion into a reward and rejection into a punishment. Without ever saying a word, they control you through the most primal force you carry, your sexual desire. Imagine this. A man is deeply attracted to a woman. She knows it. She feels the power in his eyes, the way his body language changes when she's near. With this awareness, she does not need to argue or raise her voice to influence him. She only needs to use her presence strategically, offering affection when he obeys her unspoken expectations, withdrawing it when he doesn't. To him, it feels like the natural rhythm of a relationship. But to her unconscious, it is the perfect weapon. Control disguised as intimacy. This is not exclusive to women. Men do the same. A man may sense a woman's longing for closeness and use it as leverage, offering intimacy when she bends to his will, denying it when she resists. The act itself looks ordinary, but beneath it lies a power dynamic. Sexuality has become currency, a means of influence, a shadow game. Jung would argue that this form of manipulation thrives because the shadow loves masks. The manipulator does not think, "I am controlling you through sex." They believe they are simply protecting themselves, or deepening love, or maintaining balance. But the truth is darker. Their unconscious has discovered the most efficient way to hold power over another person by controlling what the other craves most deeply. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever felt hooked on someone, not because of love or even true connection, but because of the way they gave or withheld intimacy? Have you ever stayed in a relationship long past its expiration date, simply because the sexual bond felt too strong to break? That wasn't love. That was manipulation. Jung's psychology reveals why this works so devastatingly well. In the psyche, sexuality is tied directly to archetypes of power. The lover, the anima, the animus, even the trickster. When someone controls your sexual desire, they are not only influencing your body, they are reshaping your unconscious. They appear as the one who holds the key to your fulfillment. And once they take that position, you begin to orbit around them, mistaking dependence for passion. But here's the darkest part. Most manipulation is unconscious. The woman who seduces a man and then strategically withholds is not always plotting like a villain. She may not even realize she is doing it. Her shadow, full of fear and insecurity, has found a weapon in intimacy. The man who dangles affection like a prize may not intend to enslave his partner. His shadow simply uses sex as a language of control. This is why Jung insisted that every person must confront their own shadow. Because until you do, you will either manipulate unconsciously or be manipulated unconsciously. In relationships, desire becomes a battlefield where both shadows fight for control. One withholds, the other chases. One dominates, the other submits. And both believe they are in love. But ask yourself, is it love if it thrives on fear of losing intimacy? Is it love if closeness is used as a leash? Is it love if you are always wondering what you need to do to earn affection again? This is the essence of sexual manipulation. It takes the most sacred human experience, intimacy, and corrupts it into a system of rewards and punishments. And because it is so subtle, so easily disguised as passion, most people never see it until they are already enslaved. Jung's warning is clear. When you ignore your shadow, your relationships will become power struggles, dressed in the costume of love. And nowhere is this more destructive than in sex. Because sex bypasses logic. It strikes at the unconscious, the deepest, most vulnerable part of you. To be manipulated here is to be manipulated at your core. This is why so many men and women find themselves addicted to toxic partners. They cannot explain. Every man or woman who has fallen too deep into someone's orbit knows the feeling. That silent fear of losing their affection. That anxiety that if they say the wrong thing, if they don't play along, intimacy will be withdrawn. This is not love. This is not passion. This is the unconscious using sex as a weapon. Carl Jung's framework of the shadow explains why these patterns repeat across countless relationships. When two people enter intimacy, they bring not just their conscious selves, but also their hidden fears, insecurities, and needs. And often, those shadows do not meet with openness. They meet in battle. Let's break down how this looks in real life. 1. Withholding as punishment. One of the most common manipulative patterns is withholding intimacy. A partner senses that you are deeply attached to the sexual bond, so they use it as leverage. The moment you resist, disagree, or assert yourself, they retreat. Suddenly, the warmth is gone. The affection is withheld, and you are left desperate, wondering what you did wrong. This tactic works because sexual energy is primal. It bypasses rational thought. The more you crave that connection, the easier you are to control. Jung would say that this is your anima, or animus, at work. The inner image of the perfect partner projected onto them, making them appear irreplaceable. You're not just craving sex. You're craving what they represent: acceptance, validation, wholeness. 2. Giving as reward. The opposite side of this coin is using sex as a reward. A manipulative partner may shower you with intimacy after you've given in to their demands, compromised your boundaries, or made sacrifices for them. It feels like passion, but it's really reinforcement. Your psyche begins to associate obedience with affection. Slowly, you are trained to bend to their will. This is the exact mechanism of conditioning that Jung warned about in relationships. Unconscious control, hidden beneath emotional intensity. You're not in a romance. You're in a psychological training program where intimacy is the prize for submission. 3. Seduction as a trap. Another form of manipulation is seduction without commitment. A person may deliberately awaken desire in you, not for love, not for closeness, but to keep you hooked. They flirt, they touch, they ignite the flame, but they never fully give themselves. This keeps you in a state of a restless hunger, always chasing, never satisfied. To the manipulator, this is power. To Jung, this is the archetype of the trickster at work. The trickster thrives on keeping you off balance, feeding you just enough to keep you tied, while withholding enough to maintain control. 4. Weaponized jealousy. Sexual manipulation also appears through jealousy. A partner may hint at other options, subtly reminding you they can give their intimacy elsewhere. This provokes fear, insecurity, and a desperate need to prove your worth. You may find yourself doing things you swore you'd never do, simply to keep their attention. Jung would describe this as shadow projection. You begin to see your deepest fear, abandonment, inadequacy, mirrored in them. And because the psyche cannot stand rejection, you cling harder, even as they tighten the leash. 5. Addiction to the bond. Perhaps the most devastating form of manipulation is when your entire sense of self becomes tied to the sexual bond. You convince yourself that no one else will ever understand you this way. You replay the moments of intimacy in your mind like a drug. You forgive betrayals, insults, and neglect because the sexual connection feels irreplaceable. This is where Jung's psychology cuts the deepest. He argued that such bonds are rarely about love. They are about projection. You are not addicted to the person. You are addicted to what your unconscious has placed upon them. Your ideal lover, your missing half, your unhealed wound. They hold you not because they are divine, but because you've given them the role of your inner god or goddess. The cost of these patterns. The cost of living in these dynamics is enormous. Your self-worth erodes. Your autonomy disappears. You begin to measure yourself not by your own values, but by how well you satisfy the manipulator's shifting standards. You stay in situations that hurt you because leaving feels like death. This is why Jung insisted that awareness of the shadow is not optional. It is survival. Until you recognize these manipulative patterns, you will mistake them for love. You will keep saying, "But we're passionate," when in truth you are being controlled. You will keep believing, "But no one else can make me feel this way," when in truth they are only pressing on the deepest wounds of your psyche. A story you already know. Consider the man who stays with a woman who belittles him, mocks him, undermines him, but occasionally gives him moments of intoxicating intimacy. His friends ask, "Why don't you leave?" He answers, "You don't understand. What we have is special." But what he really means is, "I am addicted to the cycle of pain and reward. My unconscious believes I need her to feel alive." Or think of the woman who remains tied to a man who never commits, who disappears and reappears, but always returns with fiery passion. She knows she deserves better, but the intensity keeps pulling her back. This isn't love. This is the shadow playing out its games. Jung would say these relationships are not about two people. They are about two shadows feeding each other. The manipulator feeds on control. The manipulated feeds on hope. And the cycle continues until one of them confronts their unconscious. Why people don't see it. Sexual manipulation is hard to recognize because it disguises itself as passion. If someone screamed at you, threatened you, or hit you, you'd recognize it as abuse. But when manipulation comes dressed as intimacy, when it feels like closeness, when it looks like love, the mind refuses to see the truth. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You'll call it love. You'll call it destiny. You'll call it chemistry. But in reality, it is manipulation wearing the mask of desire." Breaking the spell. The first step to breaking free is to see clearly, to admit that what feels like love may in fact be control, to acknowledge that your desire has been hijacked by someone who knows, consciously or not, how to push the right buttons. Jung's solution was individuation, the process of integrating your shadow. When you stop running from your fears of rejection, when you stop hiding from your need for validation, you take back your power. Sexual manipulation loses its grip when your self-worth is no longer tied to someone else's approval. So ask yourself, has your intimacy ever been used as a leash? Have you confused passion with control? Have you mistaken the withholding of affection for love's natural rhythm, when in reality, it was your shadow being exploited? The darkest truth is that these patterns are everywhere. They are subtle, silent, and devastating. And until you see them, you will remain trapped in them. Carl Jung believed that nothing in life enslaves a human being more deeply than what they cannot see. And nowhere is blindness more dangerous than in matters of sex. For sex is not just an act. It is an archetypal force. It is creation and destruction bound together. It is intimacy and domination in the same breath. And when it is turned into a tool of manipulation, it can destroy your freedom while convincing you that you are in love. The darkest truth about sexual manipulation is this: you are never truly being controlled by another person. You are being controlled by your own unconscious. Think about it. When someone withholds intimacy, what makes you desperate? It isn't simply their absence. It is the fear that lives in you, the shadow that whispers, "Without them, I am nothing." When someone rewards you with passion for obeying their unspoken demands, what makes you submit? It isn't their superiority. It is your own hidden hunger for validation. When jealousy grips you, when you cling tighter as they threaten to leave, what enslaves you? It is not their power. It is your terror of abandonment. Jung's wisdom strikes like a blade. Manipulation only works where you have unhealed wounds. Your shadow is the chain. They are simply pulling it. This is why some people seem immune to sexual games. They cannot be seduced by withholding because they have faced their fear of rejection. They cannot be trained by rewards because their worth is not bought with passion. They cannot be bound by jealousy because they have integrated their shadow and do not mistake possession for love. To the manipulator, such people are unbreakable. To Jung, they are individuated. They have become whole. But here's where it gets even darker. Many people secretly want to be manipulated. They crave the drama, the highs and lows, the intoxicating intensity of being caught in someone else's orbit. The unconscious loves chaos. It feeds on the roller coaster of desire. This is why so many return to toxic partners, why they cannot resist the seducer, why they confuse suffering with passion. The manipulator offers them what their shadow demands: intensity. And intensity feels like meaning. Jung's challenge was simple but terrifying. If you want freedom, you must destroy the part of you that feeds on manipulation. You must stop calling pain passion. You must stop calling addiction love. You must stare into the mirror of your unconscious and admit, it is not them who control me. It is men who gives them the power. That is individuation. To claim back the energy you project onto others. To own your own shadow instead of letting someone else play with it. To recognize that your desire is yours, not theirs to exploit. So what does liberation look like? It looks like the man who no longer begs for affection because he has integrated his fear of being unloved. It looks like the woman who no longer tolerates being withheld from because she has faced her terror of abandonment and survived it. It looks like a human being who can enter intimacy not as a slave, not as a manipulator, but as a sovereign soul. This is the hardest transformation because it means giving up the illusion that love should enslave you. It means giving up the intoxicating high of being needed or owned. It means walking away from those who play shadow games, no matter how magnetic they feel. But once you do, you discover something Jung knew all along. Real intimacy cannot exist where there is manipulation. True love is not built on chains. It is built on freedom. And the ones who manipulate through sex, they are not powerful. They are weak. They are ruled by their own shadows, by their own fear of being unworthy, by their own terror of losing control. They enslave others because they are enslaved themselves. So the darkest truth becomes the brightest revelation. The moment you stop being ruled by your shadow, no one can ever manipulate you again. Now, the question is not whether others are using us to control you. The question is, are you ready to confront the part of you that lets them? Because until you do, you will keep mistaking chains for passion and control for love. Carl Jung leaves us with a choice. Either you keep living blind, letting desire dictate your fate, or you step into individuation, integrating the shadow, mastering your desire, and reclaiming your freedom. So, I'll leave you with this. Do you believe you've ever mistaken sexual manipulation for love? And if so, what did you learn when you finally saw the truth? Comment your story below. And if this video opened your eyes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and consider sending a super thanks. Every truth Jung revealed was meant to set you free, not just in love, but in life itself.